It is Wednesday, June 28th, 2023, and welcome to 730 days of Wizard Wednesday. Channeling in from the Quantum Downs, this is the Black Goat of the Wood, Elf. And joining me is...
Dota, hello.
And the shape-shifting bear from the cave.
Of the woods. Hey.
What up, y'all?
Hey. Why Sam just posted a banger tweet of a, I think it's a Kobold Azuki bean spinning around, and it says, "One more thing, this one is still an idiot."
Is it an idiot because it's a bean, because it's a kobold?
I think because it's a kobold. I don't think he's trying to insult Azukis, I don't think.
Well, I think we have a segment where we're going to do that later in the show today. So let's not jump the gun.
Uh-oh. We got some Azuki PFPs in here. We'll see.
No, I actually empathize with founders of other NFT projects. But yeah, we'll get into that later. Yeah, I just actually wanted to start out with a little bit of like the silver lining of a bear market, which is, I don't know about y'all, but I'm actually still buying NFTs. And I love it because you can get them for there's some bargain prices out there. Let's just put it that way. I bought a Tiger Bob today. I bought a crypto bat. I don't know if you guys remember that Ozzy Osbourne did an NFT collection.
They're still around?
Yeah. Look, NFTs are forever, bro. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's doing anything with it, so the prices are just like through the floor.
They should
I bought
do a
one.
burn mechanic where you can like bite off his head like Ozzy did back in the day.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they were a real team, they would do that. Yeah, go ahead, Dota.
Well, I want to buy back like the toad that I sold like at the peak of the bull market. I think I could get a much better price. So yeah, that's a good reminder. If there are like grails that you loved, they might be available cheaper. Speaking of Grimplin, did you see I don't know what he's calling them, Toad Zukis or something? Totementals that he posted? Oh my god.
They're so good. Well, Dota, you were like in the Magic Machine Discord, you were like, he needs to sell these for 2 ETH right now. And I immediately DM'd him and I said, Dota thinks you need to sell these for 2 ETH right now. And he was like, I feel bad. I drew them in 20 minutes. And I was like, what does that matter?
Keep drawing. You're going to be
that's more effort than other projects.
Oh, shit.
Yes, exactly. That's more than most in PFP summer.
Yeah. No, but I definitely want to get a Cryptoad. I want to get a Goblin Town WTF, and I want to get a Clone X.
Gremlin needs to make those into a whole collection. Just do like 1,000.
Yep. Bear, are there any NFT projects you're looking to scoop up?
Yeah, Toads is actually at the top of my list. Funny enough, I've always loved Toads. I have a little bit of like an internet crush on Gremlin also, so I don't think I can ever reach like my full potential of becoming BFFs with them unless I own a Toad. Like it would be just disrespectful.
Fair. Yeah. I noticed we have Matto and Lockup here. Do you guys have any NFT projects you're looking to scoop?
For me right now?
Yeah.
I actually don't have my eyes on too much right now, to be quite honest.
Okay. Besides Forgotten Runes, of course. I mean, I know that's on the top of everyone's list.
Yeah, besides Forgotten Runes. Forgotten Runes, Variation, Tubbies, and Forgotten.
Yeah, if I'm going to buy another NFT, it's for sure going to be a Wizzy.
Oh, I'm so ready for the Tubby Cats redemption arc. That's going to be a good one.
My bags are full.
I still have some Tubbies.
Yeah, my bags are full.
Coming along well for them.
What's that, Matto?
Sorry, what was that?
I was saying the walk animations, the walk sprites are coming along well. Those are almost completed.
Oh, Tubbies have walks?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. All right.
I don't know if this is controversial, but I really want to get Nizuki.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, no, I think it was a Small Protect on Twitter yesterday or today said something about all the Izuki FUD makes him want to buy one, actually. And I felt I had the same reaction. Like, I was like, good, FUD him. I want to buy one.
I think if you like the Azuki art, like, this is a good entry into it. It's just that the expectations for it were really like blown away based off of like what people thought it was going to be something completely different, and because it's pretty much the same thing, it's like there's this weird middle ground of like, if what's the point of getting the higher tier one, right? The original OGs, if they look,
Right.
if some of like you can get like the like super cool elemental 1/1s for like 5 each, or you can grab an OG floor for more expensive. It's like, well, I want to get the better looking one, right? So I think that's the discrepancies. People are like, if you like the art, you're probably going to get cheaper of the same art if you just go from the lower tier one.
Right. It makes sense. Yeah. We'll say a lot about Izuki's here in a bit. But first, let's do some cult questions. By the way, if you're new here and you have questions, you can either come up and ask or go to our Discord and at me, Bear, or Dota with a question, and we'll try to answer it live. So Shlee is asking, are you guys getting a cake for your 2-year anniversary? If yes, we want pictures. So I mean, yeah. By the way, it is basically the 2-year anniversary of the initial mint of the Wizards. That occurred on June 30th, so it's 2 days away, basically here. But to answer your question, Shlee, no, I don't think we have cake. We don't have donuts. We have no treats at all. And I blame Bear for that.
Oh, we should get some jelly donuts.
We should. I'm going to open up a couple treat boxes because I have a bunch still on our birthday.
There you go. All right. But I mean, speaking of 2-year anniversary, Locke, you were working with Oz on a really impressive piece. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So, many moons ago, many moons ago, Oz had hit us, and I think there was some sort of discrepancy with the merch box, and we were like, no, we're gonna send you one, and we just sorted it out and sent a merch box to Oz, and then he hit me literally the 31st of January 2022 with like, hey, I want to do a little like Avenger style team photo as a token of appreciation. And I didn't hear from him until October. I had honestly completely forgot until October of the same year. And then I am going to post the first like image that I saw in the Secret Tower right now from Oz. And if you look closely, you'll notice Dota looks badass.
As always, that's what Alpha would say.
Yeah, and then we also have a zoom up of Elf. Like, these are some works in progress that we got, and it was funny because when we started this on the 31st of January last year, it was our team was much smaller, so like the project itself just kept growing the more we added team members. So I thought that was kind of cool, the expansion of the artwork going along with the expansion of the team. And just thank you so much, Oz, for creating this. I felt like we hadn't had our own like group photo as a team, and so this was for that. And yeah, Oz clearly poured a lot of love into it. So yeah.
Oz, you nailed it. And Locke, it was an awesome idea. It's a beautiful piece. I'm not even sure. I think we've seen a few other like, I guess, Magic group shots, but this one's just amazing. It's got the whole team in it, and it's very impressive. And yeah, Dota, you do look pretty cool. Although you kind of look like the Avalanche intern, as Cheddar Bob.
Yeah. And my hair is tied up like a turnip. I feel like
But still, it's
I feel like I
amazing.
should
I don't care.
go
I love
to Avalanche and like they should be paying you for every tweet. Considering, you know,
I asked
did you?
them. I've asked them to at least intro me to the artist, and they won't do it. They're keeping their cards close to the chest. Isn't that song in Zoolander?
What song?
Never mind. So what I did is I trained a stable diffusion model on my own Dota meme model, and I've been sharing pictures of that, and it's a lot of fun.
No, but what I'm saying is I want to get Avalanche to pay you for every tweet because you're their intern. You're basically promoting them without you even knowing. You need to get paid for that.
Yeah, good point. Good
Imagine we send them a cease and desist.
point.
On it.
I don't mind. They're spreading the Dota meme far and wide, so let them have it.
Okay, let me look at some other questions. Small Protect actually has like 50 questions, so let's
Great.
hit all of them.
Let's do it.
First question is, how healthy is the Magic Machine runway? Ooh,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll address that.
yeah, go
ahead.
for it, Dylan.
Well, it's good. We have like, I would say, a year and a half in the bank right now. I think that like royalties makes it going away makes it a bit more difficult, but at the same time, I think there's not quite a lot of like volume right now anyway. I think that the runway is good. There, some things that are related that we have on the horizon, right? Goblin Town will have an airdrop and a mint. The Shadow Hats is going to be a paid mint. So for example, the Shadow Hats there's only 10 in the sub 10K range, and then for the Shadows mint, which we will talk about later, the Shadows mint. Really, the point of the Shadows really is less to be a project where we airdrop a bunch of tokens, and more because we're going to have another mint, and we're going to draw in people from the Bitcoin community, right? We've had a lot of people coming into the Discord, and they're like, "Oh, do you guys have any tokens on ETH? Are these yours?" Apparently, somebody like copied the Wizards into ordinals, and they're like asking, "Are these official?" Which they aren't, right? And folks are like, "Well, I love your project, but I just don't touch ETH." And so, yeah, the Shadows mint is going to be a paid mint on Bitcoin. So that's another kind of source of revenue for the company. Then, of course, we have like the land sale for um, the Runeverse game sometime, let's say, in the fall. And then a couple other projects in the works. So yeah, so we have a very healthy like padding in our bank account now, and we have plenty of sort of like things on the horizon that kind of like work with the brand overall to generate more revenue. So yeah, do you guys want to add anything to
Yeah, I
that?
think we've all sort of had our own companies and worked at other companies, and I think there's like this point that startups get to, which is not good, where you have to start prioritizing or deprioritizing things because of cash flow. And we haven't had to do that, which is great. We don't like make decisions based on like, do we have enough money to do that type of thing. So I think that's always been sort of the red flag for me in past companies is like, when you start feeling the squeeze and every decision is like this painful one, should you do it, should you not? And I'm glad we're not there. I feel quite comfortable.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind feeling more comfortable, and I would like hire a few more devs. And there's like a million, like if we had the money, there are way more people we would hire, I think. But like, we're practicing austerity right now during the bear, but we're very comfortable with the team that we have now.
Yeah, the way I like to put it is that we definitely have runway to make it to the next bull market, and then I imagine that'll be a much more comfortable scenario for Magic Machine. But I do want to underline the fact that royalties are not a thing at the moment because Blur and those other marketplaces just effed that whole thing up. I've seen comments in the Secret Tower of people thinking we have royalties. We do not. So don't say that because it's not true.
What are royalties?
But I think that like, one of the things that I love about our project is that we are building an IP that can sort of like be manifested in lots of different ways, right? We don't have to keep doing new mints of new characters every 6 months just to kind of like make ends meet. There are a lot of things. So Goblin Town is a good example, right? Like we're moving into gaming. We have the Runiverse game, but then we have a couple of other ideas that we're looking at, that aren't characters that I think everyone will really super enjoy, that are just kind of part of the brand. So
Also, we have plans to get our royalties back anyway, so we won't go into that, but it's in discussion. Okay, Small Protect has other questions. So he's asking, why does Magic Machine think that the cult has been getting external traction with the Shadow Hats? Yeah, I mean, like Dota said, I mean, one of the main objectives for the whole Shadow Hats Ordinals
Shadow
project
Cats.
is Shadow Hats. Although Shadow Hats cats would be cool. The point, one of the biggest points, is to expand it into an entirely new community. We can't just stay insular all the time. We have to use new strategies and new tokenomics and drops to appeal to different cohorts in the crypto ecosystem. So that's what we're doing. As to like why exactly we're getting attention with this, let's call it what it is. I think there's a lot of, I guess, what I would call mint list farming that happens all over crypto Twitter with every new announcement of a drop. That's definitely happening with us. And I think we're savvy enough to separate the obvious mint list farming from genuine interest. But yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think that there's a good amount of like organic interest. One of the things is that like the um the ordinals market is pretty disconnected from the ETH market in terms of like sentiment and volume and kind of like optimism. And so I don't think that the ordinals market is really in a bear market in the same sense, insofar as like people there are looking for projects with depth. And so that's like a very easy um, sell from us, for example. Like when we're creating we have the shadow hats, of course, and we also are creating the shadows, and they will be a part of the Runiverse, just like the other characters within our Runiverse. And so, the people who mint them will be in our own Discord and part of our community. And so, I think that like one of the issues that you have with ordinals, like every other NFT space, is just something like what's next. If I buy this, what's next? Like, yes, I have a collectible, but is there any sort of community, any sort of plans, any sort of bigger lore? And the shadows have all of that built in, and so I think that so you have basically the shadow hats, which are these like killer pieces of unique art that are sub 1K, which are like Grail of Grails on ordinals, that are built by a team that has a history of shipping, and then a community that you become a part of once you're part of it. So like if you just go down the list of sort of any box you want to check in terms of like, is this a project that's backed by a quality team, that sort of is interesting art, it looks good, like all these things, it checks every box. And so and then it also helps that, right, we have attention from ordinals. We know people in the ordinal space, that people vet for us as a team. So I think it's just it all adds up, right? Everything's there.
It's also rare you find, there's opportunities to tap into a crypto educated community that's not already, that's separate from ETH, right? And so I think, yeah, I just like it because it allows us to extend to, to an actual new audience, like you're saying, in like an organic way.
Right, and we'll get to this with the Zukis, but you see this all the time. A lot of times, new mints end up being like going all to the same holders, and I think that like, um, it's that's always like a conflict, I think, between founders, right? Is that it's like you want to reward the current holders, you want to sell to the current holders who want to buy, but then you also want to grow the community with sort of a new audience. And so it's like, how do you walk that line? Whatever, we're navigating it. But I think that is an important thing for us with the shadows, is just there's this an entire group of people. That's why ordinals are exciting. There's a whole group of people who like, a lot of these people don't even have ETH wallets or use ETH at all. They're just like a new group of people. And so well, that's one of the reasons why we're doing it.
Okay, another Bitcoin question from Small. I don't even know what this means, but I think you will, Dota. What form of game would exist for Forgotten Runes on Bitcoin given recursion now exists? What's recursion?
What games?
That's what Small's asking. What form of game would exist given...
I'm not sure. Okay, I think that recursion is just basically like you're able, from ordinals, you're able to load other ordinals. So a good example of this would be like somebody uploaded the Three.js like JavaScript library, and you can upload a 3D model, and then you can load that old that Three.js library that someone else uploaded, and then you can have like a 3D model, but you save on the like gas cost of uploading it, or you can kind of like reference other ordinals. So I think that's what he's talking about. I don't really know what games it enables. That's a really interesting idea. We had actually a space on Game Changers on, was that yesterday?
It was yesterday. It feels
Barely.
like a week ago, but
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, where we talked about gaming in ordinals, and I think it's very nascent. Like, as nobody knows how it's going to work really, because well, the blocks take 10 minutes. So, what kind of game are you going to play with 10-minute blocks? So, I'm not really sure, but I'm sure someone clever will figure it out.
Yeah, I think the proof of concept that I've seen thrown around is like you said, like you upload like a JS file or whatever, and then you have others inscriptions that reference that file. So like you're kind of building up code in blocks. So like you're just constantly referencing other inscriptions until you have like a full kind of like workable piece of code that's like playable. And so like it'll be like a browser game or whatever that's just referencing a bunch of JavaScript blocks from the different ordinals. At least that's where I think I've seen people thrown around as the idea. So like it's something that's like probably would take a lot to actually build and would probably kind of buggy at its first iterations, but I can kind of see how they're kind of trying to work it. It's pretty much just you're uploading code in different blocks and just kind of referencing each different block. And like you just use pretty much the ordinal inscriptions as your database.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Small has 3 more questions. I'm gonna blast through them.
But I want to pause there for a second.
Oh, sure.
You really struck a chord with Shadowcats. Are you looking at the Discord?
Yeah, I did see that. We're not doing Shadowcats. Get it out of your heads.
Not yet, you mean? Not
I'll
yet.
work on him. I'll work on him, you guys.
I don't know. Maybe we will. Who knows? I don't know. Okay. Damn, I kind of want to now. All right. Small is asking, would we ever build on Solana? As far as I'm concerned, it's not out of the question. We don't have any current plans, but I don't know. It could be cool. Speaking of whole other communities, yeah, it could be cool.
I don't know what.
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say is, and you may disagree, Dota, but like I know a couple months ago there were a bunch of projects that were really pushing for, multi-chain. It's like, why should someone have to bridge? Like, why not have a collection that anyone, you can buy on Solana, you can buy on this, you can buy on that, and I kind of like that idea. I've always like been very customer facing, right? Like give optionality to people, as many options as you possibly can. There's something I don't know if it makes sense for like our collections necessarily, but I think the future of cross-chain collections just makes sense logically. I don't know. What do you?
I think that
Agree.
I think that like moving to lower gas chains makes sense. I think that like for me, I care some about principles of decentralization, which Solana has historically been weak on. I feel that like there's a lot of really cool technology in Solana, but yeah, I
Dota hates it.
Yeah, there's a lot to say for like being part of the Ethereum ecosystem, particularly when it comes to sort of like, like when you look at some of the L2s and the zero knowledge chains, the fact that you kind of have the security backed by ETH is a really meaningful guarantee, and so it would take a lot to give that up, especially when you see a lot of like ETH L2s getting lower gas fees that are acceptable. So never say never, but I'm not like that interested in it.
What I love is that Dota's putting the whole tech analysis on it, which yes is important, but I think Bear and I are like, wait, but it's a whole new community, and that's important too. And it's it's just there's a whole social component as well.
And Ordinals is, Ordinals is the perfect example. We were just talking about it. It's like, how do you grow into, like, there's so few crypto native communities. How do you play with those? But yeah, I mean, I personally think, and I'm a student of Dota, and there's something very comfy and sort of classic about ETH. To me, it's more about like where do NFTs go from here, rather than like, backtracking or backing into like taking a collection and making it multi-chain.
I think also that like the Bitcoin community and the Solana community are not on the same level at all, really. And so, and the other part is like DeGods left Solana. So like if you want kind of an advertisement for if it's a good fit there, I think that's like an important case to look at.
Okay, we're not ever doing Solana. Kel just reminded us all in the Secret Tower that there are shadow cats in the Runes TCG, and I knew that sounded familiar. And yeah, the Shadow Cats cards on Runes TCG are freaking badass. So if you want a Shadow Cat, just buy those. They're beautiful. Okay, Small is asking about Azuki. Let's put that off until we're done with the questions. And then one more question from Small. He says derivative projects are nice, but how does one drive value to accrue there without being official? So I'm not really sure what this question means. If you're talking about the Shadow Hats, they're not derivative. Those are official. But if you're talking about community projects like Runes TCG or NFT Worlds from Merlin or Black Sands Pony Racing, stuff like that. As far as like how to accrue value there, I mean, I think the answer is pretty straightforward. You just have to make a compelling product. Like I know that's easier said than done, but just make it good. I don't know what else to say. I'm not even sure if I understand the question properly, but that's the question.
Yeah, like how can community projects accrue their own value? I think a big part of it is around like tokenomics is an important part, right? So if we're going to say how do they accrue value, part of it is something like best represented by, let's say, floor price. And I think part of that comes from having good tokenomics and
yeah, it's the same thing as any other project. Tokenomics, good art, good community, good promo. Those are the four things I would say.
Yeah, like the Noun Wizards have a good floor, I think, last I checked. I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked today, but
okay, let's move on. Nard is asking, do kobolds have eyebrows? Nard, I think they do. Jitsi shared a GIF that Frog Eater made, and he's got big, juicy, thick eyebrows. So the answer is yes. Adept Igduil, which I pronounced correctly, has another lore question. This is actually a fun question, and I'm surprised we haven't talked about this yet, because it is something I think about a lot. They're asking, do the denizens of the Runiverse refer to the world as the Runiverse? And yeah, I mean, so here's my answer. So first of all, the entire Forgotten Runes ecosystem, and I'm talking like the franchise at large, in real life and in fiction. To me, I call that the Runiverse. That encompasses the games, the comics, the shows, the toys, the NFTs. It's basically a multiverse, which includes all the storylines, all the canons, cult content, book of lore, Wikipedia, just all of it. To me, is the Runiverse. It's just like the meta name for the entire world. But the landmass that you see on the map, that is Earth. That is sort of a neo-Pangea. And why did the continents recollide back into a new Pangea? It's an expression of the Ouroboros. It's a cyclical return to an epoch. It's an acknowledgement that time is a circle, not an arrow. A sort of call to the wisdom of the ancients, or a quantum superposition of the past and the present. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. Because yeah, I mean, after all, we are wizards and the wizards are us. We exist at the same time. The universe is a reflection of the real world. Okay,
one of the interesting things
go ahead.
about this idea with the universe being the real world is you and I have talked about getting more details with like the maps, for example, and kind of like looking at the map that you made and being like, okay, when we measure from left to right, how many miles is this? How many kilometers is this, right? And well, it's very fun to think about mapping out um, that map kilometer by kilometer. I think that if I was going to put together like mapping locations, I would probably make that map like 1/8 of the scale of the world. But I think that that's just to make it tractable with a community of our size. I think as we grow, we'll probably be able to get it up to 1-to-1.
Yeah, speaking of the map, it's not totally like to scale. Specifically, like bodies of water and like the little, I guess, icons that represent the cities and stuff. I mean, like Atlantis Pool, it would almost be the size of an ocean if it was actually to scale. But of course, I had to draw it big just so you could see it. But it's actually probably much smaller than that if it was drawn to scale. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, someday we might release a map that is actually much more to scale, and you can zoom in and out.
So fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd say real life maps are not to scale either, so it's perfectly understandable. Like you can't draw continents to scale really, otherwise things get really skewed.
No, exactly. I mean, there's an inherent problem in displaying a three-dimensional globe on a two-dimensional plane. And yeah, I mean, just cartography alone is a crazy science. Okay, Bear, 2 questions for you. Bill Gaines wants to know, does your bathroom smell like ammonia and air freshener? That's a fun question.
God, our bathroom. I don't know. It smells good. It's like there's no like. It's not like repelling. There's no like real mark that. There's nothing that comes to mind, which means it's clean.
Yeah,
You know,
it smells
it
normal.
smells normal.
Yeah.
No strange. No, unless like you're following Nalgene and you go in there after he's done. Maybe it's a little stinky, but.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn, dog.
Nalgene's
not even up here to defend himself.
Why do you think I said that?
And you have to have a key, right? Even just to get in, you got to have a key to kind of keep out people off the street. So
yeah, we're not just letting anyone in the Bear Cave bathroom over here.
Yeah.
I appreciate how much thought you put into that. Okay, and then another question for you from Tabitha. Basically, Tabitha wrote some lore about the origin of your name, and I'll sum it up in one question, which is Bear. Is bear snake just a misspelling of beard snake?
Ooh, no, it's not. But beard snake would also work for me.
It definitely would.
It would definitely work. No, I think I might have mentioned this like a year ago or more. Is like I've always been obsessed with this idea of animal combinations. I even wrote a television pilot that was based on animal combination characters, like the crocodile and the whale snail. I love this idea of like having combining animals into one that have like opposite, like juxtaposition, so they're like the internal battle, right? So yeah.
Yep.
I never sold it though. No one wanted it.
Hollywood's brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brutal.
Cosmic is asking about the Runiverse map, and she's basically noting that the poles are reversed. And yes, the poles are indeed reversed on the Runiverse map. That's what a singularity will do to your world. It will invert it. You can sort of think of it in the same way that Lewis Carroll described the Wonderland as through the looking glass, where everything is inverted. Okay, I guess let's talk about the Azuki drop. Let's have a spicy conversation. I think before we get started, I just want to say to any Azuki holders or even a potential founder that might be here, I've got nothing against that project. And as a project founder, I know how freaking hard it is to run an NFT project. So anything we say is not meant as an insult or a criticism. It's all out of love. But I think it's still an interesting conversation.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I mean, my take is more about the art, but I think there's also some tokenomics things at play, right? Dodo,
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you want to start, but I mean, I can just go ahead and say what I think one big problem, and I think it's pretty obvious, is the elemental art looked exactly the same as the original Azukis, as Matto just mentioned earlier. I think some people were tempted to draw parallels between our own Wizards and Warriors drop, and I don't see I don't see a comparison at all. And I could argue why, but yeah, I mean, for me, it's that was the biggest mistake. Just the art is indistinguishable, which just it makes it look like they literally inflated the supply and just put a new name on it.
Yeah, I think it was Rod who suggested that it was similar to Forgotten Runes playbook, and I can see it from a high level view, right? It's like you do another drop of art that looks somewhat similar. Yeah, I think in our case, one, it was like on our original roadmap to do the Warriors. We have all the reasons for why we wanted Warriors and Wizards as an archetype. But I think that part of it was just around expectations too. I mean, I think that their trailer looked amazing. Funny thing is people were complaining that their trailer, they're like that their trailer cost like 80 grand or something. And I think I don't know if it's official sources, but I heard their trailer was somewhere between 300 and 400,000, which is like right. Like our trailer with Titmouse cost 250K. I think it's actually more than that by the end. So I really think that we should all be FOMOing into projects who can prove that they can do a high-end anime trailer. Wink, wink. I think
agree. Those are not easy to do.
Yeah, they're not easy to do. And it looked really good. And I think that all of the trailers, I don't know. I just was expecting different art because they showed these like posters or whatever, and they showed like this like art that was just a different style, and I was like, oh, that's kind of close. But maybe they're like worried about the Ethers drop, which also looks very, very good. And so I guess I just expected that. There's a lot of people saying maybe even that like this is deliberate, like attention grabbing FUD. Anybody hold to that conspiracy theory?
Yeah, I agree.
I think
You
it
think
was.
that it is?
Yeah, I think Azuki is pretty savvy, and I think they're a team that really understands optics, provenance, and what makes people talk. And this has made people talk a lot about how similar the new drop is to the old one, but they understand provenance and they understand why people buy luxury goods. And so most of the time when you're buying an NFT, you're not buying exactly just the PFP art, you're buying provenance. So Azuki understands that really well. And regardless of whether or not they're saying that, because a lot of luxury brands don't talk about that, I think they understand it pretty well.
Yeah, I think also the timing of it, like a lot of people pointed out that they pretty much front ran Ether. Literally the mint was the day that Ether was, they signaled beforehand like, hey, our trailer for our anime trailer is going to drop on this day. And like, why would Azuki pick 2 days after the event when people are still in Vegas? Because there were holders that were saying, hey, I'm not even back from Vegas yet and you guys are minting. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? It's like, because they minted it literally the morning of that Ether was dropping their trailer. So I'm pretty sure like they had the idea of like, we want to get as much attention and hype on our project away from like our what could be considered like the next anime PFP competitor that's going to be launching, and kind of like deflate their launch a little bit by taking all the attention from them and putting it all on us. Because right now people aren't really talking about Ether. They just dropped their trailer today, and people are still talking about Azuki because Azuki is the hot shit that just everyone's like they fumbled and everything. So nobody really cares about Ether's trailer that they just dropped today.
Funny, yeah, I haven't seen Ether's trailer, and I like want to see it.
Exactly.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Yep. And it was actually, I think some of like, Ether's team actually were like, when Azuki dropped their trailer, like they kind of like felt like fire under their pan. And I'm pretty sure I think in the comments, a lot of them are kind of talking about like, oh, this trailer is really good. We also have a trailer coming up, like trying to like tell people, hey, if this interests you, we have an animated trailer too. But it seems like that completely went under the radar. Nobody cared about it by that point.
I'm gonna share the Ether trailer because we're talking about it. So there it is.
Yeah. I think that's completely fair. But yeah, I agree with exactly what Dota said too. That the expectation was, I thought it was going to be something completely different. I thought it was going to be something more aligned with the art style of what they showed, and I was actually pretty hyped for it. I was like, that's cool. The art style looks great, and it looks different from Azuki, but it still looks like something that feels like it's from Azuki, which is what I thought that they were going to go for. So I feel like a lot of people, they didn't show any previews of it, and then when they got it, people were just like, what the hell is this? Like we didn't get the animation, we just got Azuki V2. Like it's the same base with new traits on it. Like at the very least, you could have made a different base, but it's the same base. Like people like the kids and the animals, because those are completely new bases. So that's
so cool.
But,
yeah, they look great.
But like you take the same base and throw stuff on, it feels like you just reused assets. Like what were these stuff that didn't make it into the first cut that you just like, all right, throw them in there, right? I'm sure that's not what went into it, but it almost felt that way because it's the same base, right?
I think it might be important to also outline who got it, because the structure of the mint was very specific.
Very specific. They had literally 10-minute windows. They FOMO'd their own holders into saying, hey, you only have 10 minutes to mint this. For phase 1, 10 minutes of phase 2, and then that's it. Then it's public. So you guys only have 20 minutes to really mint this out.
Yeah, the FOMO mechanic sucked, but I'm also talking about the airdrop. Weren't 10,000 of the 20,000 new elementals airdropped to original holders? And this is what I'm talking about with provenance and the privilege of provenance.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm sure like for like future, like a lot of stuff that they have planned coming down the line, like they kind of teased like that green bean today. I kind of feel like that green bean is going to be like specifically for like the OG Azuki holders, trying to make them feel whole again. So like later on, like I'm pretty sure they're going to continue with the idea of like the OG holders are going to be like first for everything. Like, you know, like same thing like how we consider like, you know, soul holders and wizard holders. It's like you're going to be the OG provenance, right? So like even if the picture of the Azuki looks the same as the elemental, they're not going to get the same perks. But the thing is also is that like Azuki hasn't really released much for them to really have perks for. So like thus far, they haven't really proven that like, hey, we're gonna do something greater for you than like the beans holders, because like they haven't really done anything since launching beans that really really has a huge discrepancy between the holders of the two different collections. So
Nard says, Dota, what would you do if Azuki's anime front runs the Forgotten Runes TV show? And like, it's really interesting. I would love to see an Azuki TV show and have it be successful. That would be great. The trailer looked amazing. I like want them to win. The Forgotten Runes TV show, do you know what the budget was? It was $15 million. And that was the plan with Warriors, right? Like if Warriors had gone like Elementals, you know, we would be halfway in production with the Forgotten Runes television show. And so, you know, their holders should be asking them to spend the money to do that, because now they have $40 million from this drop. Spend $15 million of that to pay for your own Azuki TV show. That's what we would have done. And they obviously have like super talented artists to make it happen. So like, I hope they do. I would love that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's their plan. They said that they, in their apology today, they have an anime in the works, so they definitely have that in the pipeline. But now we have to see if they're actually going to dedicate how much to it and such.
Great.
I want all the good NFT projects to succeed, because that just makes our lives easier. Honestly, like one of the biggest freaking hurdles we wrestle with is just the negative sentiment across the mainstream populace about NFTs. It's ridiculous. So I want to see. Um, this actually is a good segue into something else I wanted to talk about. And it's a thing we've talked about a lot before. Just touched on it here and there, but I want to talk about Magic the Gathering cards. And the reason I want to talk about it is because I bought some yesterday for the first time in years. And I just started thinking a lot about them. And Dota, I know you love Magic cards, and we've never really talked about them at length. And I see I see a lot of just parallels between what Magic the Gathering is doing and what we are doing. And I'm not even talking about like us being both in the so-called fantasy genre. There's so much more overlap. And so yeah, so I just wanted to play in this arena for a minute. Magic the Gathering is a business that has been going on for over 3 decades. And it seems more popular than ever, or at least as popular as it ever has been. It's got a really strong, diverse community all over the world, all ages. And they're really good about like appealing to new generations and bringing new people in. Um, and it's a fun game to play. And so it's like it's of course a game first. I mean, that's what it is at its core. But beyond the game, there's a massive like collector and financial component to it as well. It's basically physical NFTs. And so what's amazing is that like Wizards of the Coast can release hundreds of new cards every year, and the community doesn't complain about inflating the supply, because guess what? Inflating the supply doesn't harm the value of the cards that came before it. It's like 5th edition Magic the Gathering cards do not go down in value because new sets are released. In fact, I would make the argument that 5th edition, the value goes up as new sets are released because now new fans are coming into the franchise, and that generates more love for the whole product at large. And so this is the model that I want to follow. There's a variations, of course, but if I had one criticism towards like the whole NFT community, right, it's that a lot of people still a DeFi product, or like a fungible token, and they're just not that. To me, it's digital, and the value for it goes up the more it spreads, and if that means minting new sets and new members into your community, that's go. And I think that actually helps your bags. It doesn't hurt them. So yeah, I mean, ordinals and the Shadow Hats are a great example of this. But yeah, I mean, I just love that Wizards of the Coast can constantly release new cards every year, adds to the value of the whole project. I don't know, Dota. Did you? Oh, we lost Dota. I don't even know where he is. Okay, I'll continue. Unless Barry, you want to step in, or Matto, or Bridge? Did I just lose everybody?
No, I agree 100%.
Oh, there's Bridge.
No, keep going.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast, OG Wizards, love it. You're speaking my
Exactly.
language. I still hold my cards in their plastic cases in my closet. I haven't taken out because I don't have anybody to play with. But I agree 100%.
Crypto Tendency, hello. Hand up, Crypto Tendency.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
hello.
you.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you for having me. I love that you guys are talking about Magic the Gathering. I'm an OG player. Like since I was a child, I have my Magic cards also in the closet because I have no one to play with as well. But I agree with what you guys are saying about releasing more cards and actually be something bullish for the whole ecosystem, because some of the Magic cards are really expensive and some players are kind of like annihilated from kind of like type 1 or type 2 types of play. I don't know if you guys say standard or type 1. In my time, it was like type 1 and type 2. But yeah, some cards are like really expensive. So when they reprint the cards, more people can get in, and I think that's awesome.
Right.
So
Yeah. And
I
by
don't
the
know
way,
if that.
just to
Yeah, go
yeah,
on.
go. I was like add more wizards or add more warriors. You know, that will always stay its own thing, but creatures and new beings to the Runeverse is always, I think, an option to expand the world and the community.
Totally.
I think I remember back when Ordinals were first being inscribed and people were like asking like, oh, is it going to be like a wizard collection? And then it was like Dota. I remember Dota very clearly saying like he doesn't want to just inscribe like wizards directly onto it, like onto the Ordinals, right? Like if there was going to be something inscribed, it would be like a new collection that's separate and distinct rather than just, all right, throw some wizards onto there and then call it a day, right? So having that idea in mind, that's important.
Yeah, I think that like for me, the recreating the feeling of like cracking open a pack of Magic cards when I was like 14 is like the point of this whole project, right? That feeling of sort of opening it up, seeing what you got, like sitting around playing with friends, you know, collecting, trading, finding the rares. That like that feeling in a way that was like very it wasn't like loaded, was just like one of the happiest like activities that I had as a kid. And so even now when I play, like I mostly just like playing casual games with like friends, right? Like I'm not very serious. Like I don't compete. I don't like like even when I go to the card store, I get slaughtered because a lot of those guys just like are so much better than I am, and I'm not like very competitive in it. Um, but I love this idea that you can kind of celebrate uh, the art of stories through cards. And so when I see, like, for example, what we did as a community, Give a Hoot in particular with like, you know, Runes TCG, it was just so fun to kind of see these moments encapsulated in of the lore, like encapsulated into this like art. And I love the constraint that you have where it's like, okay, the card factor is, you know, let's say, you know, 2.5 by 3.5 inches. And what you can do whatever you want, but you got to fit it into that little package. And then another thing that I love about cards is just like the serendipity that you get around having a physical product in your house. You know, you can look you can look anything up on the internet, but when you have a little pile sitting there in your house, then you know you can rediscover things that you've forgotten about, or that you know my kids, for example, will just like walk over and pick it up and thumb through them. And so I don't know. I think that there's something really special about this physical form factor of a card that I find really enticing.
Fully agree. I think Crypto Tendency brings up a really cool point that Elf kind of touched on as well, that there's a lot of analogies between Magic cards and NFTs when designed right. And Wizards of the Coast has done this, as Crypto Tendency was pointing out, that like with older sets, they've provided ways of tying them into new meta. And if you are planning for the long term, you can bring value back to old cards or old creations by tying them into the new meta. So yeah, I think that's a really great NFT analogy, that like if designed correctly, these creations can have new life when you create a new set or a new series or a new application to plug them into.
That's great. I love that. Yeah. And so it's interesting to think about like what mechanisms can NFTs have to, well, we're thinking about that all the time. Like what's a new event or token or product we can drop that like gives new life to the old meta. I think that's key to making good NFTs. One thing is on the supply issue. I mean, I do think that like Wizards of the Coast is not immune from supply, right? This idea of like reserves list, which is, you know, a set of cards that they commit to never reprinting. I do think that's a good idea. I think that like we are probably a bit more in tune to kind of like, hopefully, like collectors dynamics and reprints in the NFT space than you would with than a centralized service that just creates like all the same cards. So I do think care has to be done with the supply, well, with reprints. And yeah, like Mato said, I wouldn't just like ever want to just take the art that we have of Wizards and just throw it up on Ordinals. I think that's ridiculous.
Are you familiar with the legendary
No, for
supply story
sure.
of Wizards of the Coast,
No, please tell me.
where the boat incident? One of
No.
This may just be legend, but between prints there was an accidental overprinting of cards, and one of the higher ups took those overprintings out into the bay and dumped them into off the boat and to remove them from supply. So it's just, yeah, you're absolutely right that when you write a contract and you have a specific supply on an NFT, that's it. But you know, supply oopses happen in real life too, and I love that you bring up the similarities between, or like restrictions between, physical and digital.
Crypto Tendency, hey.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out something, the relationship we as gamers, as players of Magic the Gathering have with Wizards of the Coast, because sometimes I love them and sometimes I hate them. So this is kind of, it prepared me for Web3 in a way that the founder holder relationship. It's like, no, it's impossible that they're going to reprint this on this set, and they do it. And then you say, no, but the communities can speak up, but we still buy the product and support the game because we love the game. So it kind of prepared me in a way for Web3.
Man, I feel
hilarious.
that.
Love that.
You can't make everyone in your community happy. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
You don't know how many discussions we have at Magic Machine where we're just measuring like the least amount of people to piss off for the next decision we're gonna make. but no, it's a really good point. And you know, this speaks to another thing like I wanted to touch on with Magic, which is story and lore. You know, there's of over all the Magic the Gathering card sets, you know, there's not like a consistent story. You know, there's somewhat consistent storytelling within each set, and they kind of have loosely defined characters, but that's it. There's no like plot. There's no 3-act structure. It's just, you know, Wizards of the Coast, they design like a meta lore, but then they let the players like play out the story, and I think that's also a really strong parallel to what we're doing. But like, I mean, yeah, I mean, Dota, you were talking about like the downside of inflating the supply. You know, I think it's nuanced because, you know, I don't think it's necessarily like a financial objection. Like even if they reprinted the Black Lotus, like people know the original Black Lotus and like the reprint of the Black Lotus, and I don't think that's going to harm like financial value of the original Black Lotus. I do think where they maybe go wrong is like apparently there's like a freaking Transformers Magic the Gathering set. Like, yeah, that's too much. That's ridiculous. Lord of the Rings, that works, but Transformers, no. Yeah, that's a bit. These crossovers are getting a little out of control. Bear, do you have a comment on crossovers?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of crossovers. You know, Sharks and Sharknado was fantastic. No, I think crossovers are important. I think you just have to do it eloquently and make sure that it feels organic to the existing community, right? I think there's a lot of parallels, even, you know, in NFTs. Obviously, it's like there's this struggle of always growing, but you don't want to sort of disrupt what you have that's special. I think that's part of why, you know, my son stopped playing Fortnite, is because he was like, every week it just felt so corporate. Like there's a new skin and it's like became like a promotional engine for the next
Jitsi. Get Jitsi up here.
Yeah, get Jitsi up here. But you know, I think that's what it is. It's like, and if you really care about your brand, you're never, and we talk about this all the time. Like I have conversations with companies that would, want to put something in the Runeverse, or, that like want to get involved with us. But, a lot of the times it's just, it just doesn't make sense. And so I just think you have to be very careful about how you cross over.
I think
And
Epic Games is a great company, and they really care about their players, and they make a really fun game. Fortnite is a great game. This is Jitsi bait.
I mean, are you
I'm
trying
trying to
to,
get I'm trying to get Jitsi to come up on stage. Yeah, exactly.
Jitsi, get up here. He's not coming.
He's not coming.
Do you guys remember, like, probably over a year ago, we had a ridiculous discussion on Wizard Wednesday about making a warrior token for Paris Hilton?
Yeah, we still should. I'm a Paris Hilton fan. It's fine for me.
I'm gonna see her
Yeah,
tonight.
let's
I'm gonna see her tonight. I'm gonna give it to her.
let's
Yeah.
rehash the whole argument. I take the side of hell no, we're not doing a Paris Hilton. Dota, your position?
I'm okay with it. If she comes on Wizard Wednesday, she can have it.
What's up, everybody?
Okay. Jitsi, tell us about your undying love for Fortnite.
Jitsi, why
Oh,
do
is
you
that
live-
what the question was? Sorry, I was like, I'm with family right now. I drove like throughout the night to get here, and like I was halfway paying attention, but I'm out in Tennessee as we're speaking.
I was just telling everyone how I think Epic Games is a great company that like really cares about their players and
Oh, I
they do such a
love
great
this
job with Fortnite.
conversation. No, I won't go into the huge spiel. Everyone's heard me say it 1,000 times. I just think the company could have done a better job of giving back to the audience that made them what they are, and it's been proven through lawsuits that they were like predatory, and I think they do a lot of things wrong. That being said, I think they do a lot of things right too, right? Like you don't get to where they're at without doing some things right. I just think they could have done a better job is all. And I think they're one of the reasons why I stepped away.
We were actually talking mostly about Magic cards and the supply and the Transformers set, about how it felt like a bit of a stretch in terms of collabs. And you're a Magic player as well, right?
Yeah, 100. Yes, I love Magic. I play limited quite aggressively. I'm usually, if I'm playing throughout the month, I'm usually ranked pretty well. And I think like all the collaborations, yeah, there's a couple that they stretched it for sure. I don't know if anyone's played the most recent one, like the Lord of the Rings one. It's fantastic. I think they're doing the right thing most of the time. But yeah, sometimes they miss the mark. But like, yeah, I'm happy to see Wizards of the Coast going into collaborations that bring, I think, a lot of enjoyment to the players, at least from my experience.
What do we think about Forgotten Runes? And I've rugged before, so I'm sorry if you already brought this up. What about Forgotten Runes and Wizards of the Coast? Wizards and Wizards?
Heck yeah. I mean, like, that'd be, how awesome would that be, right? Like,
show me where to sign the dotted line, Bear.
Right, yeah. Please, Bear, let's do it.
Let me get the deal first. What would it look like? Okay, let's live in a future. If we were to do a collaboration with Wizards of the Coast, what would
I can already tell you what the mechanic would be. Like, there's always a unique mechanic that goes with like a lot of these collaborations. It'd be the affinity mechanic. I'd be so stoked to like put that in there. It'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be, but it's a fun thought experiment. I mean, would they go digital or would we go physical, or would it be both?
Ooh, I think both.
We go phygital.
Yeah, Arena has done really well in the last like 7 years now. Like for the longest time, Magic Gathering only had like one online source for what we call as drafting and like online play. And then they came out with Arena, which minimized the cost to play. And then also people had like a lot more cards at their disposal. So like Arena has a lot of online play. It actually gets cards before the physical sets come out, right? So they really push on the digital side, but they all obviously have always been very big into physical. So I could see us being in both.
Did you guys know that the guy, I think his name is Chris, the guy who was the CEO of Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro bought them, I think in like 1999 or something, and now he's the CEO of all of Hasbro. Did you know that?
That's awesome.
I didn't know that. That's great.
I did not know that, Bear.
Yeah, Chris Cox.
No clue. I knew they bought
Bear, how did you know that?
Because I always thought it was interesting that it's taken so long for Wizards to do partnerships that were upsetting, like Transformers.
You know, the more I look at these Transformers cards, a couple things stand out to me. One, they say that they're not standard legal. And so then I can kind of be like, well, they just did it for fun. The art is kind of cool. I don't know. I can't decide if I get into it or not.
Why do people not like it? Yeah, like I think Magic the Gathering does something really good as well, which is they have a lot of formats, right? Like, so whenever I hear someone say they don't like particular card sets or things they're doing, I'm just like, are you kidding me? It's probably in a format that you don't even play or care about. Why do you care, right? Like, there's like, at this point, 10 plus formats within Magic the Gathering, right? Like, there's one called like the Unglued format too, if anyone remembers that set, where it's like the entire set was around like, if you could like cheat in it, you can get away with it. Like, there's certain cards that let you do that. Like, it's off the wall mechanics. It's like super fun. So why do people not like the Transformer one?
I like it now. I changed my mind. I think it's because like you don't expect it, because it feels like it jumped the shark, because it's like not in world at all. And so you're expecting kind of like a continuation of a particular franchise in the world. And it's like, no, it's just like, we own Transformers and we own Magic. Oh, let's put Transformers in Magic just so we can like make a buck.
That makes sense. I could like that tracks, right? Like just taking other IP, smash it into like money generator and say, here, buy this, right? Like 100%. I could see that too.
But I'm sure the people who put it together actually put a lot of love and care into it, and I should probably take a look. You know, because I do think that, for example, the format of a Magic card now is like somewhat like eternal, like as a medium. You see, for example, like rare Pepes, right? Or like there are lots of projects that kind of just use that format of the same aspect ratio. You've got like the header title, the art, and then a description, and sort of is this like it's now. I mean, when did Magic come out? 93, a little bit earlier. So we're now talking about this like 30-year-old medium that's kind of transcended Wizards of the Coast, even though they don't like to think so. So,
it's universal.
Crypto Tendency, just unmute. You're up here. Just unmute and interrupt. You're fine.
Join the convo.
Okay. I wanted to point out the thing about the collaborations, like the Transformers one, why some people don't like it. I think it's about holders not being able to accept change or tolerate change as well. I remember when I think the first collaboration was Dungeons and Dragons, and I was hesitant that I didn't like that at all. But when the product came out, well, I didn't buy it, but I started to let go. Change is part of life, and they're trying to bring more eyes into Magic the Gathering, and that's just healthy for the whole community.
They definitely did.
I feel like the same way, which was like I was very hesitant about like the Dungeons and Dragons crossover, the Lord of the Rings crossover, and so it helps me to hear Jitsi, for example, be like, "No, I played it and it was amazing. It's fine."
Yeah.
So
they're really fun. Like I think for me personally, like I usually go into the mechanics of a game, and if the mechanics play to an even playing field, that's like I'm such a skill maxing on stuff, right? That it's like this makes sense on how you'd play a game in order to like if I put time into it, I'm going to be able to beat someone more consistently within like that game. Then I love it a lot of the time because the rest is like trivial, right? Like it's also subjective to like if you think the IP is fun or not. But like the mechanics and like the Dungeons & Dragons has a really good example of one they introduced that I thought was like very off the wall at first, but made a lot of sense for competitive play, even though they eventually changed stuff. But yeah, that's how I view a lot of them. But to each their own, right? Like I don't undervalue anybody's opinion on any of the sets.
Yeah, I think there's like parallels. So like if you look at Smash Brothers, which is essentially it's entirely just like a mismatch of different IPs, right? But like at first it was purely Nintendo IPs, and then when third parties started getting into it, like there was a lot of discourse about like, this isn't right. Like, it doesn't feel right because like you started off with like this pure kind of like we're only going for like the grails of like Nintendo, and then Sonic kind of got in as like the first third party, and it kind of felt right. It's like okay, Sega and Nintendo are very closely related, but then like as they started adding more third parties in, people started getting uneasy. But I think now it's generally accepted, like now that the roster for Smash Bros is like 73 or 75 characters or something. And like a lot of those are like third-party characters, or characters from other IPs. And like people are a lot more accepting. I think the last one that was like really controversial was like Steve from Minecraft. Because people were like, Minecraft? Like why add Minecraft? But like I think it was like looking back, I think a lot of people recognize this is a smart play. You know, like Minecraft is a lot of younger generation grew up on Minecraft. Right, so right. Like it's earned its place as like historical in terms of like if like Smash Bros is supposed to be like a museum of like video game history, like it's definitely earned its place as like a historical video game, so like it can get in. You know, I think that like you know, there's still people who are like against those editions, but I think in general, as like more people kind of like accepted it by now, even though it was controversial at first.
If gameplay is good, gameplay is good. End of day, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you treat the characters with respect too. I think a lot of people like appreciated the way the characters were represented when they did get brought in, instead of just kind of like, hey, we threw them in there, like rehash somebody's old moveset, and here you go. You know, it's like they treated them with respect, so that way they feel like their own individual characters that came from their series.
Bear Snake, tell us the item that you wanted to put in the Athenaeum the other day. And no, I don't mean the whoopee cushion. The other one.
No, what are you talking about?
I don't. What item? I don't know.
The can of Coke.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was like
Same
so
thing.
afraid. I got off this call with this creative agency, and they were like, "What do you think of?" They like pitched me like putting Coke into the Runiverse, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, well, that even I thought that was a terrible idea. And then I was like, and most of the time, like I wouldn't even have. I didn't like took days for me to even bring it up to you, and then I brought it up to you, and you were like, yeah, let's put a can of Coke in the Runiverse. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Shocking.
No,
Coke is
but it's
transcendent. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, it's sort of what I mean. It's what everyone here has been talking about, which is like there are certain items and brands that just have transcended their corporate association. They're to like this godlike cultural status. And yeah, I mean, a can of Coke in the Athenaeum, I actually think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
God damn, you keep me on my toes. I would have bet $10,000 that you would have like spit in my face if I brought that up.
Hey, if you said Pepsi or Mountain Dew, I would have said no. But Coke, I mean,
Right. But if you said like Campbell's soup, then you're like, well, like Andy Warhol paved the way.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, we can do. Actually, that's kind of possible. Not gonna lie.
We're not Mountain Dew maxis here. That's
What
man.
about RC Cola? What about RC Cola?
Oh, stop! What the?
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
We really like that stuff.
The Royal Cola? It's Royal.
It's like the
Royal.
Vegemite of soda.
Is that what the R in RC Cola stands for? I had no clue it literally stands for. Is that what it stands for? Royal Cola? I always associated with
Locke
like
has thumbs
RV
down.
car.
Guys, you're gonna kill me. We're going long. I have to get. There's someone waiting outside the bear cave to meet with me. I gotta go. I love you guys.
It's all right.
Wow. All right. See you.
No, it's all right. We're out of time anyway. Anything else, guys?
Well,
Nothing.
some people were asking if I wanted
Shadow
to talk
Cat
about
coming soon.
Yeah, the Illuminated Chapel card. We can talk about that next time.
Yeah, I actually want to devote more time to that because you've been training some Stable Diffusion models, but I want to give that proper time.
Sure.
More flavor text.
Yeah, sure.
But actually, we have a moron who has
I love that
questions or
sentence.
comments.
It's a good one.
I know. What's up, moron?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
I have a special lore reading to do tonight.
Oh, yes, you
Oh,
DM'd
good.
me a few days ago.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
we're here for it.
Super.
We're here for it.
So story goes like this. I bought a wizard, Hedge Wizard Axis of the Psychic Leap, and I gifted it to my mom. I told her that she could write the lore for it. And so here we are about a year after buying it. She's finally written the lore. And today is actually her birthday.
Right.
So I
love
it. I wrote ahead.
Happy birthday!
Yep, I wrote ahead to try and get her to read it, but she's chickening out. She doesn't want to read in front of strangers on the internet for some reason. I don't know.
Oh, we love everyone. So if that changes her mind,
Oh, she knows. We frequently
we
listen.
would
We
love-
frequently listen to Wizard Wednesday, so she knows. It's just, you know.
Okay.
But so
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. So this is our lore. All right. Journal entry. Sometime after the third moon of the year of their passing, my parents are gone, and my days are lonelier. I talk to myself as I forage for food and plants I need to make tinctures and ointments that I learned from my mother. She was one of the healers of the Hedge Wizard Wood, and I have carried on helping the folk here. When I am not at home mixing potions, I love exploring any direction that I am drawn. This comes from my father, Alloy, who I would follow through the woods and fields, gathering plants, seeds, and minerals. I loved traipsing after him as he would ramble on and on about the various tree species, from cedar, beech, wormwood willow, chestnut, to the hawthorn, hickory, dragon birch, elm, and the maples and oaks. We would walk for hours, but at times I would get lost in thought with the magnificence of this world, and I would have to bolt after him, only to find him next to a tree deep in thought. There were times I would have no clue where he went, and I would have to search for him. I became good at reading the tracks and signs to find him. He was so proud of my skills as a searcher. My path is unknown at this point. Their sudden passing left me floundering, but now I am restless. Usually, I am most at peace in the woods, but recently, it is not peace, but impatience I am feeling. I feel I must move on. I stood in the deep woods today and felt I was being pulled. A strange shiver ran down my spine from my antlers. It was like a divining rod was turning me to the northeast. Is that where I go? How do I look for something when I don't know what it is?
I love it.
I love it. I love it too. I see the metaphor wandering through the woods and then coming to a crossroads in your life, using the antlers as a divining rod. I love it. It's tree lore. I love the images it evoked. Just well done. For lack of a better description, moron's mom.
I also love the I love the like fauna building, right? This idea of a dragon birch is so interesting. I'm like sitting here imagining, trying to decide what that would look like. And well, yeah, and the idea of using the horns as a divining rod, that's so interesting.
Well, cool. I'm glad you guys liked it.
Yes, thank
And
you.
hopefully by this time next year, we will have another lore and we can read it. Hopefully she'll read it that time.
All right. You're welcome anytime.
Super. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, Derek.
Hello.
Derek, I just want to say happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
dear Moron
Mom.
Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
Dota, go get your what's that instrument called that you played one time? It starts with a C.
Concertina.
That instrument you have, that really weird instrument you have.
I don't know which one you're talking about. I have a lot of really weird instruments. Yeah.
Is it
I think
a
I've only played
hurdy-gurdy?
guitar on Wizard Wednesday, but I have a concertina, which is like a pirate accordion.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yep.
I cannot play Happy Birthday on it, but I'm going to learn for next year. I have 1 year, so your mom better come back.
Yeah.
It's a deal.
Concertina. Yeah, that's it. Hen Boyd, hello.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I just want to remind everybody every Monday night at 8:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are doing the Monday Magic News featuring Wild Mage. This week's guest will be Daniela from Colombia. We've had 7 great weeks of fantastic content, discussion, and guest speakers, including Tanya Del Rio, Oz, Give a Hoot, Julian Tryhard, and many more. So please join us this Monday and every Monday to get the news and ideas and cult content of all derivative projects for Forgotten Runes and the Black Sands. Thanks.
Damn right.
Thank you, Henry.
That's why I
Thank
ran
you.
back up there. Working with Sharon for Monday mornings, doing lore readings Monday mornings before Henboyd. We're also working with Henboyd and Wild Mage and all of the community members around Mondays for kicking off the week with some lore. So we have a lore reading contest in the Discord. That's why I ran back up. That was my announcement. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Fantastic. Cool. Anything else from anybody?
I'm good.
I guess that's it.
You guys are cool.
Yeah. So before we go, I'm just going to leave you with all some alpha. The reason I steered the conversation towards crossovers earlier is because Bearsnake did indeed secure a crossover It's going to be the Runiverse Beverly Hills Cop crossover. And we're going to have Eddie Murphy on next week. So look forward to that.
Perfect. Incredible.
The Prime Minister of Malaysia.
Wait, did I just hear Eddie Murphy laugh? Is he already here? Awesome.